I believe CAT is not a very tough exam, to be honest. It does not requires rocket science. You should know when to start. Just do not compare with people who are starting in February. There are people who start in September and they score much better than people who start in February. 99% of the aspirants are very nervous that day. If you go into that 1% of the chill and calm aspirants, you are good to go. You have aced the 90% of the game before starting of the paper.
The formula to get 99 percentile score is here. Enroll now. The link is in the description and in comments. See you there.
I'm originally from Madhya Pradesh. It's a very small town that people don't know about. Basically, it's famous for coal, Singrauli. I've completed my BTech in Chemical Engineering from NIT Durgapur in 2021, and post that I was working in Linde, which is a German MNC. They are basically into manufacturing, but my role was technical B2B sales. And yeah, I was working in Pune for around 20 months. Like my job involved talking to clients, assessing the market. Is it slow? Is it going fast? Should you increase your price? What should be your pricing strategy? Doing competition analysis. So all these things seemed pretty interesting to me. But as I joined as a graduate engineering trainee, there was not much that I could do to climb up the ladder, or there was not much of an experience for me there. That is when my idea for giving a CAT formed. I did give the exam in my UG, but it was because everyone was giving, so let's give this exam a chance. It was just that. But yeah, during my job, I really liked the work, and I knew that this is where I want to be. I'm loving this, doing competitive analysis of the industry. So yeah, that is when I thought of writing CAT. It was my second attempt, but I would like to say it was my first serious attempt. Given my preparation strategy, I started my prep around in July. I joined a coaching because internal motivation is something that I lack. So I needed someone to provide external motivation, and I was already working. My job involved a lot of travel. So one day I was in Mumbai, second day I may be in Ratnagiri, third day maybe I would be traveling to Bangalore. So it was a lot of travel, and I needed someone to push me, and that coaching did that for me. My strategy was simple. I believe CAT is not a very tough exam, to be honest. It does not requires rocket science. You just have to understand the basics. Of course it has to be your lucky day, and you have to be calm. So my strategy was to just go with the basics, identify what your strong points are and work on that, and not try to cover the whole syllabus. Like for example in quants, I chose to ignore number system, and that maybe I'll do algebra, geometry, arithmetic part, because I felt there are 10 questions from arithmetic approx. If I can do 9 out of 10 from there, I am already in a decent percentile zone, and then of course I can go to different sections, PNC, where there 1 to 2 questions come every year. Apart from that, VARC was, I assumed VARC to be my strong zone, although the point difference was that all through my mocks, the lowest I scored was in VARC. So my strategy was still, I started my prep in June because I felt I should not start way early, because it leads to burnout by the time you reach August, September, and that is not a good thing that you should do. Given I was an engineer, so maybe I had some upper hand in quants and DILR, which made me confident. So it is very different for different people. So you should know when to start. Just do not compare with people who are starting in February. There are people who start in September and they score much better than people who start in February. So you should know your strengths and weaknesses. I started giving mocks pretty late. That was September. My point was I should do my syllabus basics first. I should practice questions, and then mocks should be a part. Because for me, mocks was not just something that I would sit for 2 hours or 3 hours. I used to do proper analysis. I used to sit with my coaching mentors with the analysis that this is how it should be done, or this should be my strategy. So I'm not the right person but to come for me for mock advice, because I gave very few mocks. I think I gave around 12 to 13 mocks compared to the average 25-30 mocks that people give. But yeah, all those 13 mocks were properly analyzed. So after every mock, I used to change my strategy. For example, after the first mock, I would skim through all the quants questions. I would find out the easy ones, and then I'll do. After second mock, it was like, no, just spend one minute on every question, find which one is easy and keep solving it, and then going forward, and then come back to the questions that you have skipped. Same went with VARC. I assumed VARC is my strong section, but again I was scoring very low in VARC. So yeah, I used to practice VA sets and RCs daily. I used to do around 2 RCs daily. I wish life could go as you plan it to be, but yeah, I was in morning slot, and I felt it was one good thing for me because I am a morning person. My mind works most efficiently in morning, but our center had some technical difficulties because of course, and then we started our exam around 3 minutes late. And it was like my seat was very near to the invigilator. I could hear his personal life rants that he was having on mobile phone, but I was pretty calm. As someone who gets very anxious even for little occasions, I don't know how, but there was something that made me very calm that day. My whole focus was on that screen, and I was not able to hear anything that in the surrounding was happening. And to be very honest, the only reason that I could ace the exam that day was because I was very calm and composed, because slot 1 we had a slight change in paper pattern of VARC. I know many candidates who were saw a different set of questions and they were like, has the paper pattern changed? They were stressed about DLR or cons, has it changed? My strategy was, once I end VARC and I go into DLR, even if I have done 2 questions in VARC, it is not my concern now. My full focus would be on DILR. 99% of the aspirants are very nervous that day. If you go into that 1% of the chill and calm aspirants, you are good to go. You have aced the 90% of the game before starting of the paper. My overall percentile was 99.41. VARC being my strongest section, I had 99.73 sectional. DILR I had 98.2, and although I'm an engineer, cons I was 93. My profile was 998 in chemical engineer. Apart from that, I had work in B2B sales. I felt that really helped me because I was already working in a technical consulting industry with some marketing experience. So that helped me in getting calls. I had all the calls except IIM Ahmedabad. But I was ready for that because I knew, given I'm an engineer within 20 months work ex, Ahmedabad was a tough shot for me. Talking about my IIM Bangalore interview, it was one of my worst interview experience. It was like everything that could go bad or negative on that day did go wrong. They did not look at my SOP, they did not talk about my hobbies. Given there's a perception that IIM Bangalore interviews are mostly focused on your work ex, they did not talk at all about my work ex. So their question was, you are a startup that sells data to a company that is working in engineering and manufacturing. Now how you will walk us through the process. And when I started with normal, how would I choose my location, region? Of course, I was very taken aback by the question because there was no mention of my SOP. They were also expecting me to answer them by codes, like coding. Given I have no coding background, and he was a decision sciences prof, so he would really expect that. And I was very sure that Bangalore is not gonna call me, but the only reason of my conversion was that I was very calm and composed there, even though they asked me something very different from my field. And given earlier interviews were about 15-20 minutes, mine went on for around 45 minutes. They just wanted to maybe check that how can I handle things when they come unprecedented on my face. Apart from that, I was also smiling throughout the interviews, and even though I could not convince them what the code should be there to filter the data, I could convince them how I would find the data, how I would employ people to filter that data, and how it would be used to help the clients who would be the engineering companies. So I think that is very important in interviews because they know that you can study, you have grades, you have percentile, they know that. But MBA is a very holistic degree. It is not like our engineering degree. So they really do need people with a 360-degree approach, and I think this is really important to ace your interviews. So I believe CAT is not a paper where you need a vast amount of knowledge and abilities. I think it's a paper where you have to be on your toes, sharp, and you should have decision making ability. It checks your decision ability more than it checks your cons and DILR knowledge, because you should know when to skip a question, not take on your ego even though you have prepared for months and months. If you're solving one set on that day, believe that 99% of the population is solving 0.5 sets. So that belief has to be there. Yeah, this is not a test of your knowledge. So just know what to pick, what to not to pick, know your strong areas and work on that. Don't go into covering all the syllabus because you cannot do, especially for working professionals. Just try to squeeze some time in between your meetings or somewhere we could just read an RC, prepare for a DILR, just solve one set whenever you are free. Of course, maintaining a timer, because what students do is just they solve a set and they feel happy even though they have completed it in 1 hour. So your mind should have a practice of doing it on time, and yeah, you would be good to go.